Hello everyone, this video will cover Module 3. So in Module 3, we are continuing to work on fiction or short stories. We're going to get into them a little bit further in this module. You'll notice that as we go through the semester, there will be some modules that feel like they mirror each other. So we'll have, most of them will have something like a quiz and a writing assignment, and then we'll do that a couple of times, and then we'll do the exam, and then we'll do an essay, and then we switch to a different genre. So you'll see that some of the assignments are starting to kind of repeat with different topics. So this module in particular is just focusing on the kind of three, or again going with fundamental ideas related to fiction, in this case plot, character, and setting. So these should all be things that you are already familiar with, and then the chapters will go over them in more detail. Some of this may be just reviewing stuff that you learned in a high school class, and some of it will probably be new, particularly the depth, hopefully, and variety of the information being provided within these chapters. So you guys looked at kind of the overview for fiction already, and now we're getting into some of the chapters that will be, oh, there we go. Oh. Trying to get them all squished down a little bit. There we go. Plot, character, and setting, you can see, are these three chapters here, and within those chapters there are some examples that I want you to read. So for the poetry chapters, there's poems kind of throughout the chapter, and I want you to read all of those because they don't take as long to read. But for drama and fiction, there are only specific stories that I want you to read. You're welcome to read all of them, that's fine, but that would take a while. So I have selected for you 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, I can't count, 4 specific stories that I want you to read. 2 from the plot section, which you may be familiar with already. These two, especially Rose for Emily, is often taught. And then we've got A&P by John Updike, and then I Stand Here Ironing by Tilly Olson. And so we've got some variety here to the different stories that you're going to read, and those are all going to be on the quiz. So you have questions about the terminology that's being used in these chapters, and then also the questions about the actual stories that you're reading and that kind of thing. So plot details, character details, that kind of stuff. So you want to make sure that you look over those before you take the quiz. Quiz covers just these readings here, and then the other part of this module is to complete one of your first writing assignments. As I say, we did kind of a reflective writing assignment here. This one is set up as a journal writing assignment, but you're going to be just putting it in a Word document just like you would any other type of writing. But basically, so we'll do this a couple of times this semester where you have an assignment that's not, it's writing but not an essay. And this is another example of that. In particular, we're looking at this because one of our outcomes for the class is to demonstrate an awareness of the complexity and diversity of human experiences expressed through literature. So we want to take a look at different people's experiences that provide them with some fuel for writing. And so you can see that I've chosen some stories for you to look at, and specifically we are looking at cultural identity. So all of these authors are, some of them may be American, but they are all authors with some different cultural, ethnic, racial background, that kind of thing. So basically they're not old white guys, is because that tends to be, when you think of literature canon, that tends to be the type of stories that people pull out first. And so we're looking at just some variety of these different stories that with people of different backgrounds, like Amy Tan, for example. She has some really interesting stories that come from her own cultural background, and so you'll get to just see some variety. You have, for this journal, then you're providing us, what you're doing is personal response, but you are specifically exploring how the authors deal with anything related to their identity or the identity of the characters, the culture behind it, the aspects of racism, aspects of sexism, anything like that would be appropriate to reflect on. You don't necessarily need to include any personal experience, particularly a lot of you may not have experiences related to these stories, and that's fine. That's not the point of the assignment. Instead, I want you to reflect on what does the author include specifically within the short story that shows you cultural identity, whether that's the characters or you feel like that comes from the author themselves. That's up to you. I've got some more ideas for you on cultural identity, racism in literature, and just kind of how it's used within literature. And so this is a couple of really good videos that you can watch. There's a link here because our textbook doesn't necessarily cover anything in depth. And so that's just kind of an addition to that you might be thinking about or looking at. And so I encourage you to look through those first before you start working on this journal. This journal is not intended, I don't want it to be a really difficult assignment. It's not going to be graded like an essay on your writing. I'm more interested in your ideas and just kind of how you analyze these stories. So you don't have to do all the stories. You just pick 4 of them and you'll just do an entry for each one. So you'll say entry 1 and then you'll put in, the author's name and the title or whatever. And then underneath that, paragraph, 2 paragraphs, about 250 words, just explaining what you see in the story and what you think it means and why the author included it, and all of that related to identity, culture, that kind of thing. So that's the assignment. If you have any questions about it, or if you're worried about something that you've written and you're not sure if that's what you're supposed to be doing, you're more than welcome to email it to me. It is not cheating to have me look over assignments before you submit them to be graded. So if you have any questions, send me an email. Otherwise, have a great week.